Hey guys, I'm Mark and I've got about 90 days until my first frost. Last week I did a video showing you guys how I sowed my brassicas, certain brassicas like cabbage and kale and cauliflower and broccoli, into flats. Well, today I want to show you how I do a lot of my fall vegetables, but direct sowing, the stuff that I want to sow directly into the garden in rows. This bed right here is going to be primarily carrots, parsnips, beets, turnips, then some cooler weather herbs like cilantro and dill and things like that. So I want to show you, how I plant them out in this type of bed and then why I do it that way. You might say to yourself, Mark, it's beets, they're 50, 60 days, it's still a little early to be, you could still push that off a little bit, but beets and turnips, I'll get a good big crop out of that. And then where I am in the season is I still have enough time left that once I get those beets and those turnips out, then I can come behind with an even shorter window crop like spinach or, a lot of my leafy greens like arugula, mizuna, mustard, mesclun mixes, things like that. Even radishes are great, 28, 30 days, who doesn't love that? So I'll get my first round and then my second round, but the style of planting is pretty much all the same. And this style of planting doesn't only, obviously have to be used for fall crops, but it can be used at any time throughout the year whenever you're sowing rows of things like I'm about to show you. So you can see right here, this is my bed that I'm going to be doing this all in. It's an 8 foot wide by 24 foot long bed, and I've got it coated in a layer of wood chips. I love wood chips because they're free, and there's a couple other reasons why I really like them, especially in this situation. And I'll get to that in a little while. But I've only got an inch or two of wood chips on here, and that's really important that you won't want to go too heavy, because what you wind up doing is when you move these wood chips aside to plant your seeds, that's when you're going to be piling them up to make your, they're going to be 3 or 4 inches in the end, and that's going to be the what's going to hold in a lot of your moisture, the heat in the ground once it really starts getting cold, and then also keeping the weeds out as well. So to start off with, only having about an inch or two deep, the way that you do that is before you put your wood chips on, the main thing is to get the ground really, really nice and smooth, very nice and even. That way there's no pockets or divots when you go ahead to spread the mulch out that they're going to fall into, and you got this like 4 or 5 inch thick layer there. Really important when you're sowing seed to keep things nice and tidy that way. Anyway, my next step is I have a board here you can see that I'm kneeling on, and this board provides a couple functions. Number one, when I kneel on it like this, it displaces my weight, and I'm not compacting the soil quite as much. And then number two, when I come over here and I start my row, you can see I've already got one done already. It makes it super easy to just follow right along it. I don't have to use a string or anything. I just use my hands to scoop up the mulch and lay it back, somewhere else where I'm not planting seeds immediately. And it's a much better mulch in that way than let's say like shredded grass, or grass clippings or straw or stuff like that, because all that stuff laces together and you're not gonna be able to make it nice and neat like this. So anyway, these are free. That's another, I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's a big reason why I like wood chips too. They're free. A lot of arborists are looking for places to dump their wood chips, especially if you have a somewhat sizable piece of property where they know that they can dump 3, 4, 5 loads. It makes it easy. They just kind of set it into their memory. Around me, a lot of the arborists are telling me that they have to actually pay to dump their wood chips at the local landfill now. So it's a win-win for them and us, and it just makes an exceptional mulch. So anyway, you can see I've got one done here. What I'll then go ahead and do is let's do some carrots. I'm going to go ahead and start sprinkling out my seeds. Carrots, you want to shoot for about 20 seeds per foot. I've gotten more careful about how I sprinkle my seeds. I don't just go, all crazy with it like I used to. I sort of take my time with it, and I try to get them about an inch apart every seed. It winds up being less thinning in the end. I've kind of developed this whole appreciation for doing things like once and not trying to come back as much as possible. But when you do it that way, you lay out your seed. What I used to do is if you sprinkle them in here and just kind of you know, get them sort of even. Then you come back with your fingers and you mix the soil up, and that sort of works the seed down far enough to where it'll stay moist. But since I do it differently now, let's see if I can get them all in there in one shot. Yep. Since I do it like that now, what I go ahead and do is before I cover this bed with mulch, I got myself a bucket full of soil. I just kind of raked up sort of the fine stuff, and I filled it up so that I can then take this and just sort of sprinkle it right over top of my seeds. And that way they don't get displaced from that spot where I wanted to make sure they were about an inch apart. I was very careful with how I placed them. Well, not right here, but you know, in theory. So anyways, oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to tell you about the wood chip mulch, or any kind of mulch really. Mulch is really is excellent for things in this sort of style that you would want to harvest the leaves off of. So if you're direct sowing things like salad greens or even herbs, what's great about it is your plants come up so close to the mulch, you never have to come back later and mulch up against your plants. It's already there. So when the rain comes down and hits the mulch, it's not sending up all kinds of dirt to the underside of the leaves that you have to wash off later. It just keeps everything nice and tidy and clean. You can rinse the stuff a little bit if you want to, but if this were just bare soil here, then you'd have a lot more washing to do. So anyway, the light's fading on me. I got a lot of work to do. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you on the next one.